So you can hear me okay? Okay, perfect. Thank you for inviting me to talk. I am talking as a parent who brought my three girls to early on at Charlemagne. I am also a psychotherapist who works in mental health. There's a bit of an echo, so I apologize if this isn't coming across as very clear. So I want to emphasize how much the center is a lifeline. As a parent, I I went on a regular basis and it helped me understand my children better. It helped me get connection and it's irreplaceable. So, on a personal level, it was Carrie, who is one of the dedicated educators who guided me to first words and who helped me see that my daughter was having some speech delays, and this early referral ensured timely care. When I worked at Charlemagne for a year, I saw firsthand the behind the scenes work that protects families' well being. The team, Kelly, Carrie, Catherine, and Jenny, regularly consults one another to support parents facing mental health concerns and connects them to the right resources. I can give you countless examples. So, for example, parents will come in distress, and either Kelly or Carrie will sit with them one on one, and it will allow them to open up and have access to services like counseling that they may have never known about. Another specific example was a family that, when I was working there, was clearly in distress. They had to move quickly to another country. And again, they were referred to the community resource center nearby, and they were able to get the support. And I just want to emphasize that while new supports are being offered, it's not enough. When you give connection to families and you get to know them, that's where change can happen. And closing Charlemagne removes an essential support system. Families will be left without guidance when they need it the most. This closure will increase isolation and mental distress within the community. We, parents, child advocates, and professionals strongly urge the board to reverse this decision to preserve these essential services. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Michelle. I just want to assure you that we heard you loud and clear, that there was no echo in this end. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Do trustees have any questions or points of clarification? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to, thank you very much, Michelle. Jessica Collins-Ginn is going to be presenting virtually also, so if we could pull her in from the waiting room, that would be great. Welcome, Jessica. As a verbal speaker, you will have 3 minutes. Associate Director Velati will give you a 1-minute warning so that you can do your wrap-up comments. And so whenever you're ready, if you could just say hi, just so we can make sure we can hear you. Can you just say hi?
Yes, hi.
Perfect. Okay, I just want to make sure that we can hear you and everyone online can hear you. So Associate Director Velati will begin timing you as soon as you start your presentation.
Good evening, school board trustees, parents, and community members. My name is Jessica Collins-Ginn, and I'm an English teacher at St. Patrick High School, but I'm now the proud mother to a 17-month-old boy. During the past year, I've attended several of these early on programs, connecting and sharing my experiences with parents, but more closely with the staff. The early on educators are not just hired at random, but they are licensed educators who specialize in providing advice and answering questions in terms of the children's physical, intellectual, and emotional development. In fact, these ECEs reassured me that my not yet 17-month-old son was in fact, my not yet walking, 17-month-old son was not walking yet. He was in fact developing normally. I could now see that this was not just taking my son to just a play group, but it is an essential service that serves the whole community. And in this board, we are in fact called to be in community. This decision would impact young children the most, especially those with special needs. We as educators know that children with exceptionalities require opportunities to socialize with others well before being integrated into kindergarten. This also means that young children need to learn outside of the home. We can all recall the difficulties of teaching during COVID-19 and how in-person education was undeniably essential, where the best results for students were achieved on site. I quickly learned parents also benefit from this programming. Families struggling with finances can get a break as this provided a nutritious snack. A single mother experiencing postpartum depression can get the support she needs and the resources while learning about the developmental milestones of her baby. Newcomers to Canada can also benefit from this program as they have no family nearby, and it helps them feel connected to the community, a place where they can be well. Early learning, especially social and emotional learning, is what sets up students for success, and I see this firsthand as they arrive to me in high school. As I transition back to work in December, I truly feel heartbroken for these families who are at loss. As a result, there would be a significant gap, not only in the Orleans community, but in the educational system as well. This void leaves only one early on center in Orleans with no alternative locations, causing families to have to line up outside Centrum in the cold while hoping to secure a spot for their child. On behalf of the Orleans parent community, and as a fellow OCSB educator, I truly hope we can work together to find a new location for the Charlemagne Early On Center. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Do any trustees have any questions or for clarification? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much, Jessica, for your presentation. I just want to reassure everyone that those on our YouTube channel can hear the presentation, so thank you, Jessica. I would like to now invite Mark Wazdecki, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, to give his presentation. I'd like to remind you that as a verbal presentation, you have 3 minutes, and Associate Director Velati will give you the 1-minute warning.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Mark. I'm the proud grandparent of 6 beautiful children, 4 of whom are here today, and all 4 of them, William, Charlie, Luke, and Tommy, have participated and in 2 cases graduated from the Early On program, and they loved every minute of it, and they benefited every minute from the care that they received, the connection that they had throughout it all. I'm not going to ask them to speak, although William said he would be willing to do so. What I will say, if I could summarize what I want to say in one sentence, it would be, we're encouraged by what we learned yesterday, that you're moving to some form of alternate solution. So it may be that you're moving towards getting the policy right, but with all respect, I would suggest that you might be getting the people part of it wrong. Many have mentioned Kelly, Carrie, Catherine, and Jenny. They're the reason most of us are here tonight. They're the reason more than 1,000 people have signed the petition, and they seem to be the casualties in this ongoing process, unfortunately. I believe they've been treated shabbily, 3 weeks' notice, a sudden, quick decision, and suddenly they're out of a job, these remarkable individuals. You need to understand that you can't replicate what they created by finding another piece of real estate and standing up another center, because what they created was rather unique and based on their particular talents. For engendering a caring, learning, and supportive community at the Early On Center. Let me give you some examples.
1 minute remaining.
When I arrive in the middle of a winter storm in freezing temperatures, it's Catherine and Carrie who come to my car and help me unload 3 rambunctious kids. It's Catherine and Karen who helped an individual who was on the verge of self-harm one morning. They gave her the emotional support that she needed to carry on with her day and life. It's Catherine, Karen, Kelly, and Jenny who gave the emotional support they needed to an individual who had a miscarriage in the bathroom at the Early On Center. And I see them almost every day give this kind of support to newcomers to Canada, individuals who relocated from across the country, and their children who don't know anyone in our community, and within a short period of time, they're enabled to make the connections and get the support they need. Calling what we have a playgroup is misleading, to say the least. It's really a community where these educators play the role of early childhood educators, emotional support workers, first responders, and community builders. So I ask you respectfully to consider 2 things. 1, find a way to make these educators whole. Make use of their remarkable talents, because under the City of Ottawa, none of them are likely to find work because they don't meet the bilingual requirements. So they're out of the workplace.
Excuse me, you're out of time. If you could just wrap it up with your last comment.
Last point, please, if there's any thought to abandoning the Early On program, I think you've heard enough today to understand how important it is for the next generation of children who will be entering our schools, your schools, and will be more resilient, more socially competent, and more and equipped to deal with the education that will follow. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your heartfelt comments. Do any of the trustees have any questions for clarification? Okay. And thank you to our youngest members of the audience for sitting so nicely during all these presentations. Our last presenter is Claudie Laroche, and I want to remind you that you have 3 minutes, and you will be reminded when you're on your last minute. So if you can wrap things up. Thank you.
Good evening. So just out of curiosity, could you stand up if you came here to support Early On at Charlemagne? Thank you. My name is Claudie, and I'm here today representing the families of Orleans. We want to advocate for reinstating the Charlemagne Early On Center, at least until an alternative is found. I will now read a few testimonials. As a newcomer parent raising my children alone with no family here, this Early On Center has truly been my lifeline. The staff offered me comfort and community when I needed it the most. This center became the family I didn't have, Sarah. As an introverted, disabled second-time mom with severe postpartum depression and no support network, Charlemagne gave me my confidence and independence back. This is not just a playgroup. It is, for me and my family, a refuge where we are blessed to connect with other parents, caregivers, and children, find resources and support thanks to the wonderful educators. Ali. I had no family in Ottawa. Early On became my family. They got me out of postpartum depression. Zara. It was at the Charlemagne Early On playgroup that we noticed that my granddaughter would not speak or engage with other children. The Early On childhood educators used a variety of techniques to make my granddaughter feel comfortable and to meet her in her own comfort level. I needed a supportive community, and the Charlemagne Early On became that community for us. Twyla. I am a mother of 2, and I have no support. This place is my support. The educators have provided me with endless guidance. They helped me access community resources, such as first words that otherwise I would not have known about. I am heartbroken for the next parent like me who will not have that support. Closing the center leaves a hole in the community and an enormous gap in access to early childhood services. Cassandra. These are just a few voices
1 minute
from
remaining.
hundreds. Moms, dads, grandparents, caregivers, newcomers, all saying the same thing. This is not just a playgroup. This is a lifeline. This is a community. Let me talk a little bit more about my own perspective now. When I learned about Charlemagne closure, I joined a group of 21 parents and caregivers. We knew we had to do something. We organized ourselves and made this work a priority because we know how important this is. We started a petition, now with over 1,200 signatures. We built a website, contacted the media, created slides for this presentation, wrote speaking notes, drafted speeches, letters, emails. We laughed together and we cried together. We did all of that instead of spending time with our own families. Not because we had time, because this matters. The Charlemagne early on changed our lives. We ask you tonight not to close the door on our youngest children and their families. Please extend early on at Charlemagne until an alternative solution can be secured. Please keep the doors open long enough for the city and community partners to protect this essential service. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Claudia. Do any of the trustees have any questions? Okay, I guess it's incumbent upon me to wrap up. As trustees, many of us have been involved in programs accommodating babies, toddlers, and preschoolers. But also as parents and grandparents, we truly understand the value of this program and the exemplary work that the staff performs on a daily basis. We do place a high value on early on programs and our partnership with the City of Ottawa. And we host early on programs when space allows. This week, the city confirmed that more playgroups will begin at the Orleans-Cumberland Community Resource Center site in December, and that a new location closer to Charlemagne is expected to open in February. We know that this is not the same as the original site, but we appreciate the city's efforts to expand services quickly to support families. I sincerely wish to thank you again for taking the time to present. Trustees will take into consideration everything that you have shared, and each delegation will receive a written response within 2 weeks. So thank you again from all of us. You are all more than welcome to stay to look at the rest of the entire meeting, but I also acknowledge that you have taken time away from your families to attend tonight. So we will have a 5-minute break to allow guests who wish to leave to do so. And again, our heartfelt thanks for all the work that you put in your presentations this evening. Best regards. Okay, I think we're ready to move forward with the agenda. Can I have an approver of the agenda, please? Moved by Trustee Melito, seconded by Trustee Phelan, that the agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of November 25th, 2025 be approved as presented. All in favor? Opposed and carried. We now have our school student and department profile, a memo from the superintendent of student success intermediaries, I can't even talk now, intermediate secondary, being, belonging, and becoming leadership program. I would like to welcome Superintendent Kelly, Joanne Gosling, Anne-Marie Van Est, and Tristan Brown to the table. And you're already there, so thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Ottawa Catholic School Board has been working with the organization Children First Canada for a number of years as they have supported social and academic learning in our classrooms. Recently, we have collaborated on the Being, Belonging, Becoming program, a dynamic learning toolkit for students in grades 9 to 10 designed to build confidence, resilience, and leadership while fostering civic engagement. Through the program, students explore how to find their voice, understand their rights and responsibilities, navigate governance structures, and take meaningful action to create change in their communities. I am joined this evening by some familiar faces to the board: Joanne Gosling, who currently works with Children First, Anne-Marie Van Est, a teacher at All Saints, and Tristan Brown, a student at the school. They will explain the nature of the program and our current partnership for this current school year.
Who is Children First Canada? So Children's First Canada is a national charity based in Calgary, Alberta, with a proven track record in delivering impactful programs that educate, inspire, and empower our youth. It focuses on the rights of children in Canada, providing opportunities for young Canadians to be leaders of today and tomorrow, and unite our country to make Canada the best place in the world for kids to grow up. Our history with Children's First Canada and the OCSB. The Being, Belonging, Becoming program shares the OCSB vision: be community, be well, be innovative. And to quote our Vice Chair, Cindy Simpson, we are preparing students to think critically, act with empathy, lead with integrity in our changing world. And as you see in this presentation, we fully support these principles. Children's First Canada and the BBB program has a common goal with the OCSB: to open doors, to build bridges, and nourish new beginnings for the youth of Canada. Being, Belonging, Becoming has deep roots with the OCSB schools, starting with St. Paul's High School and All Saints at their leadership camps, and later with our student voice initiatives. In the fall of 2019, over 75 students attended the National Child Day Symposium held here in Ottawa, and the former student trustee from this board, Sagni Kuma, was the MC. So 5 years later, we have many accomplishments to celebrate. The program has successfully reached thousands of youth across the country, and it all began here with a pilot in the Ottawa Catholic School Board. Over 100 students in this school board have successfully completed the BBB program and earned a BBB certificate. Over 2,000 students from this board were directly impacted by the student-led social impact projects on topics such as child poverty, food insecurity, child abuse, mental health, bullying, and the impacts of climate change. All 14 high schools have participated in a variety of workshops. And in October, a formal partnership agreement with the Ottawa Catholic School Board and Children's First Canada was signed. The BBB program is available to all grade 10 civics classes, and now we've also extended it to grade 7 through to grade 12 social studies. Over 50 teachers in this board have registered with the Impact Toolbox that offers a variety of resources. The program is aimed at equipping our youth to develop skills, capacity, and confidence to create innovative solutions to complex social issues that face our youth today. Youth are empowered to see the influence that they could have, beginning with their own beliefs, strengths, and values, to be the best version of themselves in finding their voice. Belonging, learning how to be resilient, inclusive, and create an engaging school community where youth are seen and heard and have a strong sense that they belong and they are accepted. Becoming, on how to create a greater social impact and become informed change makers in their larger community. We have a digital educational resource called the Impact Toolbox that's designed to always provide current and very updated information. Included in the toolbox are an educator's guide, a student workbook that's provided in both English and French, lessons with videos, interactive activities, and summative assessments. Students are encouraged to customize the lessons to meet the needs of their own students, so it is not a cookie-cutter program. And lessons are broken into the 3 themes of being, belonging, becoming. This year, we've added a variety of supplements to support grade 7 and 8 history, so you can see the historical perspective of students, of the rights of children. And we've also expanded it to grade 11 and 12 social studies. PD was provided to all curriculum leaders and department heads from all 14 high schools on October 22nd. Our students have done such incredible work, inspiring their peers, their families, their teachers, their community to care and to take action. They truly deserve to be celebrated and recognized for all they've achieved. After visiting many civics classrooms, I've always left feeling inspired by our youth, inspired by their creativity, by their collaboration, by their courage to speak up, and their passion for helping others and making their world a better place. And one student and one teacher truly inspired me, and it's my pleasure to introduce them to you. So from All Saints Catholic High School, please welcome Anne-Marie Vaness and Tristan Brown.
I'm elated to share for a moment or two the impact of this program on my students. We all know that civics is a mandatory course, and sometimes it can be a bit of a hard sell.
Sorry.
We all know that civics is mandatory, and it can be sometimes thought of as a hard sell for students. But I have to say, this program is a game changer. Where was this program 26 years ago, I said to myself. Seeing my students become so unbelievably passionate, motivated, invested continues to inspire me as a teacher. Watching them collaborate daily, learning other skills, speaking on the morning announcements, and speaking to classes about what they're advocating for. This program also works seamlessly with as an RST. And team teaching has also been very special at All Saints because there was another teacher that was doing the program as well, so we were able to have so many of our grade 10 students advocating for something that they were very mindful about and motivated to bring awareness to. My hope is that all civics teachers in our board will be empowered to do this program. But I think we've saved the best for last. There's nothing better than student voice. Watching students thrive with this program has been beyond rewarding. I'd like to introduce you to Tristan Brown, whose group advocacy was absolutely incredible. He will share with you what they did and the impact that it had. Tristan.
Hello. So our group wanted to do something different from the rest. We wanted to raise awareness on what happens to inclusion students after they phase out of high school at age 21. So what I found out is that the parents must either pay $175 a day for a day program, or they have to quit their job and be their 24/7 caretaker. So I had no idea on what happened after. I kind of just forgot, you know, and it just proves how undermined and like forgetful that inclusion students are. So this puts a mass financial stress on the parent, and it can just cast a negative environment around them. And so since that, we decided to take another step further and create a scholarship along with Miss Vanessa and her religion classes, and we ended up raising $1,500 to a student who was graduating, and his name was Brady Miller. I became invested and passionate in this project because of a personal thing. I have a single mom, so I know what it feels like to have financial stress, and she is also an EA in our board, so I have prior knowledge about inclusion students. And when Brady Miller walked the stage, he received a standing ovation, which was not allowed, and this signifies the importance of students and how they can impact our community in a positive way. And I feel great knowing that my voice is heard, you know, because I'm just sitting here talking to you guys, and it's emphasizing to me that my voice is heard. And I feel amazing knowing that I help make a difference in someone else's life, and that I hope all students in our board get to be a part of being, belonging, and becoming. That's it.
And we'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Trustee Coburn and then Trustee Phelan.
Thanks for the presentation. Tristan, how'd you raise the money?
So through you, Mr. Chair, we went class to class, raising awareness and asking to donate. We got a piece of paper, got a majority of people to sign it, proving that they were donated. And then we also, through social media, one of my members of my group decided to raise awareness on social media, and we ended up raising money through there too.
Trustee Phelan.
Through Madam Chair, that was going to be my question. I have $3 signs on my page here. I'm like, how did you raise the money? But maybe I'll just move to thank you for being here, and thank you for presenting to complete strangers tonight. And it takes a lot of effort and courage and thought to come in here tonight and do what you did. So really appreciate you presenting to us. Thank you so much.
Trustee Moore.
Hi. Thank you. Good evening, Brady. You might recognize me. I'm the lady behind Brady back there on the screen. It was a good dress choice that day. Just wondering what you have planned for your next project, and when you move forward you're in grade 11 this year, and you're thinking of moving forward into grade 12, I hope, and after that into college or university. And do you see yourself still making a difference? I know it changes as you age.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I try to do my best, but I'm moving forward with a different school at St. Paul's, where I'm doing a trade academy. Always.
Any other questions? Yes.
Through you, Madam Chair. Thank you for such an amazing presentation, and what a great accomplishment, Tristan. Thank you for sharing with us. I just wanted to ask if there's ever any topics that the students might be passionate about that don't align with the guidelines of the school board or of the school. The process of modifying that topic or collaborating with the student, is there work being done on that? Is there a way to protect the student voice and ensure that those guidelines are followed? Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I think what ends up happening is a lot of collaboration. So at the very beginning of this program, we have to come up with a topic that students want to become invested in. And so the two topics that came up this year were mental health as well as child abuse. So those were the ones where they wanted to become invested in. I think some of the other topics, we knew that it might be difficult to be able to feel comfortable going class to class, morning announcements, advocating for it. So those seem to be the top two that students really want to become invested in. And when they have that choice, the sky's the limit. They really become passionate about the advocacy for it. And so an RST doesn't really even become work, it becomes a passion.
Any other questions? Joanne, go ahead.
I just wanted to add, I've had a chance to work with a variety of different schools, and the area that the schools come from often also drives what the topics are about. And with Children's First Canada, they do a report card every fall, and they talk about the top 10 threats to childhood and youth. And that usually is a a platform in which the students can look at and they go to decide what the topic is. But it is it's very unique and diverse according to the areas that they live in, and the things are very true and dear to them in their own families or in their own neighborhood. So it's been really interesting to see how different it is from school to school.
Thank you. Our student trustees ask the best questions. I started my career teaching civics and history a long time ago, and this makes me really want to return to the classroom. This is such an exciting program. And my favorite part of the whole presentation is, Tristan, when you said you felt your voice was heard. So thank you for saying that. I'd like to invite you up. Do we have someone to take a picture? Oh, yeah, that would be a good idea. Before we take the picture, we need to move that the memorandum from the Superintendent of Student Success, Intermediate Secondary, dated November 25th, 2025, entitled Being, Belonging, Becoming Leadership Program, be received. Moved by Trustee Whittet, seconded by Trustee Mullen? Sure, Trustee Mullen. All in favor? Opposed and carried. You see, I was so excited, I almost forgot to move that. If we'd like to join us in the middle, we'll just take a quick picture, and I have something for you, Tristan. Okay, we have no declarations of conflict of interest. We need to confirm our minutes of the regular board meeting of October 28th, 2025, moved by Trustee Coburn, seconded by Trustee Moore, that the minutes of the regular board meeting of October 28th, 2025 be adopted as presented. All in favor? Opposed and carried. We need to move the minutes of the annual general meeting, that the minutes of the annual general meeting of November 11th, 2025 be adopted as presented. Moved by Trustee Coburn, seconded by Trustee Warren. All in favor? Opposed and carried. We have no unfinished business from the previous meetings, and we have presentations and consideration of committee reports and student trustee reports. Committee of the Whole has nothing to report. We'll move on. Memo from the Associate Director of Business Affairs, re-Austin minutes of regular session meeting of October 20th, 25th.
Those minutes are for receipt, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And we need someone to move that the memorandum from Lisa Shimmons, President, Ottawa Student Transportation Authority, OSTA, dated November 19th, 2025, containing the OSTA minutes of the regular session meeting of October 20th, 2025, be received. Moved by Trustee McEwen and seconded by Trustee Whittet. All in favor? Opposed and carried. You see the theme here. We're going quickly. We now have a memo from Trustee Brian Coburn, Chair of the Audit Committee, reappointment of external audit committee members.
Yeah, as part of the audit committee, we take 2 members from the public. We were fortunate, or we have been fortunate, to have 2 excellent members, Michelle Collette and Matt Stevens, who have agreed to serve a 4th and a 3rd term. So I bring that to the board for approval.
So moved by Trustee Coburn, seconded by Trustee Moore, that Michelle Collette and Matthew Stephen be reappointed as external members of the Ottawa Catholic School Board Audit Committee for a 3-year term commencing January 1st, 2026. All in favor? Opposed and carried. We'll now have a presentation and consideration of staff or trustee reports, memo from the Superintendent of Student Success, Intermediate Secondary, Business Mentors for Social Entrepreneurship Program. Superintendent Kelly, Carrie Clancy, Richard White, Bob Huggins, and Jeremy McQuickie. We're all coming to the table, and Superintendent Kelly's running. Yeah, I'm getting it here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our Social Entrepreneurship Program, or SAP, has been operating in our board for a number of years. It has been incredibly successful in engaging students in a deep learning program that promotes academic achievement and social responsibility. We have featured a number of student products at board meetings previously. However, this evening, we wanted to highlight our community partners that allow this program to flourish. Thank you to our consultant for SEP, Carrie Clancy, and our learning partner, Susanna, for being with us this evening. But I'm especially pleased to have 3 of our SEP mentors with us this evening. Special welcome to Richard White, Bob Huggins, and Jeremy McQuaig. I'll turn things over to the gentleman.
Thank you very much for that introduction, and thanks very much for having us given the opportunity to present a program that I think all 3 of us are incredibly passionate about. We love this program. We've all been involved in the program for actually many years, 4 years, 6+ years, 6+ years myself. The SEP, just as quick background, is a deep learning program where students from K to 12 are given an opportunity to gain experiential experience, entrepreneurial experience, and develop their global competencies. Students research and select a social issue. They choose a charity, and then they build out a social enterprise. Students, through this whole program, gain really an understanding that they can be change makers in the world and have an impact on the world around them. Maybe next slide. So I'll provide you with just a brief overview of the program, some metrics and some recommendations. Bob and Jeremy will give some insight into the experience that they've had as mentors. Next slide. The program, the next slide, yeah. It's got a long history actually within the school board. In fact, in 2014, it was called the Entrepreneurial Adventure Program. And at that time, we had about 180 students from about 5 different schools in the program. And the program has pretty much grown successively every year since then, to the point now where we have about 2,500 students in the program. And I'm looking at last year's numbers really, because that's the full year, from 77 SEPs. SEPs being the program. And last year, the number of dollars raised for charities that they had selected as charities was about $43,000. Next slide, please. I want to raise just a couple of key points that deep learning within the school board is really your differentiator. And that arguably, the school board is in fact a world leader in deep learning education. And that the SEP, I may be biased in my opinion on this, but I believe it's really one of your premier deep learning showcase programs. Another key point is that the entrepreneurship skill sets are really the skill sets that employers are seeking and graduating students really are going to need in the AI era. And finally, that entrepreneurial thinking starts in elementary school. Next slide. I'll just make a couple of brief recommendations and key points. Really that I'd love to see you continue to grow the program within the school with a particular emphasis on elementary. That you continue integrating the SEP into your deep learning frameworks. That you continue supporting teacher capacity through training, recognition, and dedicated support teams. That you continue engaging with community partners as you are now. and that you market and promote the program to the extent that you can, linking, for example, the SCP website to your Deep Learning website page, supporting our annual SCP showcase, both through funding and through participation, and that you track school participation. Love to see one SCP for every one of your schools. And finally, if any of the trustees wish to participate in any of our upcoming and many Dragon's Den pitches for seed funding, we'd love to have you participate and welcome you come. So let me pass it over. The other slides, by the way, are really just background slides. So let me pass it over now to Bob to talk about his experiences in Generally High School.
Great. Thanks very much, Rick. Yes, I was voluntold into this position from Rick White some years ago. I'm about a 30-year entrepreneur. I've had the good fortune to have sold an ed tech company to a company in California called Google. And we specialized in creating historical newspaper images and made them searchable on the internet. That's what we did today. Most of the work that I do, I'm getting into that aged category. I was told if you cut me in half and count the rings, you'll find out how old I am. But I'm this old.
You're not that old, yeah. 6, 7.
And so most of my time I spent as a child advocate. I sit on the board of the Children's Aid Foundation, helping out here at SCP. I also chair a company called Neuroline, which is used in this board that helps kids who are dyslexic, ADHD, autistic, and retraining their brains effectively. And I've had some great experiences in great schools, Our Lady Peace, St. Joe's, and currently at Holy Trinity in Canada. I think one of my first memories is lugging a bag of ice, some cups, some sugar, and some lemons into a grade 6 class. I said, gang, we're going to make some lemonade today. So I had them measure it out, put the Loblaws bill on the board, and then we calculated the cost of making a cup of lemonade. And we came up with a number of $1.25. It's going to cost $1.25 for a cup of lemonade. And I said to the class, well, that's great. We can sell this now for $1.25. And I had one young girl look at me and said, like I had two heads, but we won't make any money. Right. And that was the start. And so we were fortunate last year, Holy Trinity raised over $15,000 to help something called 289-0, which was the representative number of people that had died with gun violence in Canada. And so these kids sold hoodies, bracelets, and were able to attract attention out of Toronto to a guns and gangs violence group that raised money, and we received $5,000 from them. So it's been a super, to put a dot on Rick's point, it's been a super program for these kids. They're getting to see something I think that would be very different than what they see in a normal classroom. Yeah, it's been a privilege, so thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy McQuigg, and as of just a few months ago, I am now the world-ranking scholar on contributive epistemology. Cool. What does that mean? It means that we can know before we learn, and we can know through contribution. And I share this because the Bible tells us to be doers and not just hearers of the world. And in the primary panel in the social entrepreneurship program, that is exactly what your grade K to 6 students are doing. For the last 3 years, I've been working with Susan Goslin, who's here. Hi, Susan. At St. Gregory. I had a very long career at Algonquin College teaching in the School of Business, and I helped thousands of your students come to college. And I think it's pretty easy for us to understand why an entrepreneurship program makes sense in the secondary panel. And in fact, the primary funding for this program comes from the secondary envelope. And so I want to use my time to share some insights about why you might strategically put more resources in the elementary panel. 3 years ago, when I started participating in the program, it became very clear to me on the first day that I had not adjusted my approach. I rolled into Susan's classroom and I immediately started talking about things like product cost calculation and standard stock keeping units and competitive analysis. And I talked right through their break and their snack. And I was horrified that I might have missed the mark. And what happened was they were energized. They were eager that somebody was prepared to show them that they were capable of participating in this, that they could be advocates, that they could raise money, and that they could run a company. And so every other week for 3 years, I have went to St. Gregory School with a mission to bring my MBA, my 6 companies I've owned and sold, my 17 years of college experience, my doctoral work in education, I bring to their class. I was there today, actually, working with students who are writing newsletters, who are advocating to their principal to share advertising space in the school newsletter. They're doing market research with kindergarten students and thinking about what they might want to see from their social entrepreneurship project. They're working with the Ottawa River Keepers this year, and they've already extended that into the community in an environmental impact program. This mighty little group of grade 6 students are the first grade 6 students to have a tour of the Ottawa Food Bank. And I say that because part of Bob and I's role as mentors is to give these young people access to our networks. And so I advocated for months that these were brilliant, capable individuals who needed to see where their money was going. That led to us bringing MP Anita Vandenbell, who at the time was Parliamentary Secretary for the Social Development Goals on behalf of Canada. She came to the classroom and the students delivered an award-winning presentation. They interacted with her, they showed her all of the ins and outs, and they cleverly, without my knowing, came up with a pitch to get her to bring products to the Prime Minister. And she agreed and she delivered. She briefed the entire federal Liberal caucus about what your grade 6 students were doing. She was so moved by that work, she rose in the House of Commons to use her member time to read your program into the permanent Canadian record. That's remarkable. Back in October, I had the privilege of being invited to Paris, France to speak at the 23rd International Convening on Open Learning and Open Recognition, where I specifically talked about your 6th graders who are learning how to run businesses, and they're bringing that knowledge into their neighborhoods, into their families, and improving family enterprises, helping grandmothers sell knit goods, helping families run family businesses and operations. This is a really remarkable program that you have in the elementary panel, and it's worthy of a second look to understand how it becomes a permanent part of the programming of the board. Thank you for your time.
And I thank our mentors again, and I think they'd be happy to take any questions.
Questions?
Through you, Madam Chair. So, Rick, I liked all your recommendation page. It was really nice to read it. But support teachers and dedicated support with a dedicated support team, what do you envision that being?
Well, you actually have a solid support team, I would say, at this point. So carry on with that work. We've got Carrie, we've got Suzanne, we've got some great support. There's some dedicated resources that you already have. And just don't abandon that.
Any other questions?
To you, Madam Chair, I don't have a question, but just a comment. You 3 should take this journey on the road. You guys did a great job. Honestly, it was really good. You work well together, all 3 of you. Really do. And Sean, you weave Sean in there, it's even better, to be honest with you. But it was really good. No, like I'm hooked. You know, it's just neat to hear you be so passionate about what what you're speaking with us about. And I just think it was great. I was really tuned in and just really listened. And you've all had great success in things that you've done, and the fact that you can share that with others along their journey and uplift people and take them to new heights is really wonderful. So thanks for coming in and sharing this. It's great.
Well, and maybe just to add to that, again, we've invited the trustees to participate in the Dragon's Den sessions for seat pitches, but also please come to any of the charity check presentations, those usually on a dry high in the House.
Trustee Coburn.
Thanks for the presentation. It was great. So that connection from entrepreneurial to charity, how do you guys work that as somebody who works in that sector, charitable sector? How do you work the entrepreneurial? Because as you were talking about business analytics, some of the people in the charity sector I can see just roll their eyes in that. So how do you kind of mesh that
I'll give
piece?
you a really interesting potential possibility. So the work that we do with the Children's Aid Foundation, which is not supported by any local government funding, it's all provincial funding. We are in a discussion right now with the Children's Aid Foundation to create a thrift store, and we are asking the students at, in this case, Holy Trinity, to potentially design it, find a space for it, and then create a permanent place where it would be youth-centric, so it would employ both children at the Children's Aid and also any students to give them valuable experience in the real world, which they lack. And so it's, you know, you got an empty building right across the street here. That's the kind of real impact that we could have. We have lots of experience. We know how to do this. We can help these kids do this, and we can, you know, work together not only with the Ottawa Catholic School Board, but the Children's Aid and all of those things that you know, we would certainly consider Christian values. That's the real goal of programs like this.
Go ahead. Jaden.
Through you, Madam Chair. You mentioned how deep learning and the importance of it for the future. I was just wondering if there's any plans to better integrate this program with any deep learning projects.
Through Madam Chair, the educational elements within your LMS, within your LMS, really don't exist today. So I believe that there's a program where teachers are being funded to create this curriculum built within the elementary side, if that kind of answers your question. So it'll be more of a permanent fixture within your own school board, for at least elementary. It's already there really within the high school side, because the curriculum does already include entrepreneurship within the business programs.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, thank you very much. You are such great advocates for this program, and I want to thank you for your dedication to the program, because the success our students experience is because of your gift of time and expertise. So thank you so much for coming to present, and feel free to present anywhere about how wonderful our program is. I agree with Trustee Phelan. Thank you so much. Can I have a mover that the memorandum from the Superintendent of Student Success, Intermediate Secondary, dated November 25th, 2025, entitled Business Mentors for the Social Entrepreneurship Program, be received? Moved by Trustee Phelan, seconded by Trustee Melito. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. Now we have a memo from the superintendent. Wow, we keep seeing you. From Student Success Intermediate Secondary, 2025-2026 Math Achievement Action Plan. Welcome, Superintendent Kelly, Dr. Lauren Figueredo, Jody O'Halloran. Sorry, I mispronounced that, Jody. And Steph Pearson. Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 2 years ago, the Ministry of Education implemented a Math Achievement Action Plan, or MAP, for all boards and schools in the province. The plan has boards and schools focusing on 3 priority action areas within mathematics: fidelity of curriculum, engaging in ongoing learning, and knowing the mathematics learner. Each action area identifies strategies across board, school, and classroom responsibilities. And despite not having last year's EQAO results just yet, we have forged ahead with our key performance indicators as measures of assessment at the school level. I'm joined by Dr. Lauren Figueredo, our board researcher, Jody O'Halloran, our board researcher, Jody O'Halloran, our math learning partner, and Steph Pearson, our coordinator of intermediate secondary student success, to speak to our map and ongoing organizing process.
Good evening. We are proud of the work we've done in the Math Achievement Action Plan, a provincial mandate to improve math instruction and learning. The Ministry of Education outlined 3 pillars in which we can build deeper math understanding and learning in our schools. These have remained unchanged going into year 3. You can see them here on the slide in the colored boxes in this presentation. The work that we do in math here at the OCSB centers on these components. We are always trying to find ways to help educators deliver the curriculum effectively, strengthen their understanding of mathematics in order to develop stronger teaching and to deliver relevant and responsive learning opportunities for students. Some schools have been identified as priority schools, for example, Notre Dame High School, St. John the 23rd, Our Lady of Fatima, and Prince of Peace, and we collect additional data about student achievement from these classrooms to inform our next steps. But we want to celebrate, next slide, we want to celebrate some of our successes from last year. We are seeing massive school engagement around digital math programs. The Ministry of Education funding allowed us the acquisition of various digital math tools, and our math consultants and learning partners organized professional development sessions to showcase the value of these resources. We saw high teacher participation in these events. Specific initiatives, including Lunch and Learns, focused on Magma Math, Knowledge Hook, and Zorbits for the elementary panel, and Math Up. Furthermore, math learning partners offer job-embedded support to teachers and students in all priority schools, especially providing another set of hands. We'll talk more about that role shortly. We are privileged to work with many new to the profession teachers teaching math. We assisted in the implementation of the scope and sequence, helping school teams deliver similar learning topics at similar times. This provides increased opportunities for schools to collaborate. Some priority schools held cross-panel conversations, which we helped participate in, to improve those transitions between 7, 8, and 9. Our EQIO data from previous years indicates the importance of providing additional supports to multilingual learners. Consultants traveled to several schools to assist educators to better support ML learners in math and to unpack opportunities to modify the math curriculum for those students who are still developing their English skills. Data from Magma Math indicates that students have accessed learning in 108 different languages from our entire school board. We're so proud of the hard work needed to implement these Magma Maths in September of 2024 when we started using the program, as it means that students are learning math with their language in what they have most confidence.
So moderation and professional learning. So our elementary team created common math tasks, which provide an opportunity to gauge the growth of student learning at multiple times in the school year. Teachers from all priority elementary schools work together to assess student work using a common understanding of performance. The scoring process allows us to monitor student achievement and to develop next steps for teacher instruction. We've been able to use this data to show steady growth in student understanding throughout the school year. We plan to build on the successes of the elementary model for the intermediate secondary schools in 2025-2026. This process is made possible by the incredible support provided by the Math Learning Partner team. So as a Math Learning Partner, it's a differentiating support for teachers, meeting teachers where they are at using coaching cycles. So as a Math Learning Partner, I must start by establishing collaborative pedagogical relationships within existing classrooms. It includes cultivating relationships with both the educators and the students. Once this is established, we cooperate to provide meaningful lessons for student learning while developing the classroom teachers' comfort with school board supported resources. We support teachers 2 to 3 times weekly, where we continue to co-plan, co-teach, and co-assess. The coaching cycle model must be adaptive and respond to the specific needs of each classroom we enter. This may look like modeling lessons and facilitating small group instruction, identifying specific next steps for students, with observed learning gaps. This is also tailored to meet the diverse learning needs present within each classroom.
The overall objective is to engage in a collaborative partnership to advance educators' pedagogical content knowledge and instructional expertise in mathematics education.
Cooperation between the school boards and the region has been essential to our MAP journey. We have met on 5 occasions, and most recently, OCSB hosted MAP representatives from 11 boards in this very room last June. The school teams appreciated the opportunities to network, compare data for decision-making, and hear other boards' innovative approaches. This particular image is that group of people playing a math reasoning game, which is essentially a 3D Sudoku. It's very fun. Some priority schools were also released to attend the Ontario Association for Mathematics Education Conference earlier in the spring, and that provided a lot of deep professional development. And finally, the ministry continues to offer valuable webinars which provide learning opportunities for the board members, school, and classroom teams. Our math consultants have found creative ways to share this content for these workshops since they are actually during when our teaching staff has to teach. Moving into 25 and 26, we will continue to leverage moderation to collect data for our key performance indicators. Elementary student success will continue using their paper assessment strategies and invite educators to engage in the process. These check your understanding tools will continue to measure student learning and provide an essential opportunities for teachers' professional development. In secondary, we're planning on leveraging Magma Math, the digital tool, to deliver pre- and post-assessment questions to gauge student proficiency in math. Professional learning continues to be ongoing through direct side-by-side assistance with our math learning partners, focusing on using number talks and concrete manipulatives.
Okay, and I'll provide a brief summary of the data submitted to the ministry as part of the July MAP submission. So the ministry does require reporting for key performance indicators. They asked us to do a year-over-year comparison across 2 different cohorts from the academic year 23-24 and then 24-25. So the first key performance indicator, or KPI, is the end-of-year June report card data for math, and we were to look at the percent of students achieving at standard levels A and B or 3 and 4, so essentially 70% or higher of final grade. And the data show that 7 of our priority school cohorts involved in the MAP initiative had a greater than 5% increase in their results. And we look at greater than 5% since random fluctuations are normal from year to year within a couple percent. The second KPI is the exact same type of analysis, but this time looking at the math marks specifically for the subset of students on an IEP. And again, our data analysis showed that 8 of our priority school cohorts had a greater than 5% increase in their results from the year-over-year comparison. And then the final KPI required also was taken from the same data set, end-of-year June report card, this time looking at students' attendance rates. And we were asked to use the criterion, which is typically used as a critical benchmark for optimal attendance, which is 90% attendance rate in general or higher, to support student learning. And when we looked at that data analysis, we found that 7 of our priority school cohorts had a greater than 5% increase in their attendance rate results from year over year.
And the team would be happy to take any questions.
Questions? Trustee Moore?
Thank you very much to you, Madam Chair. I'm really interested in this elementary moderation program. It sounds very interesting the way you're gathering the data and creating the competency as it goes. Now, I assume it's all curriculum-based, of course, they're not just making it up, but it's also EQAO test-based, in that the language, the syntax that's used can be very different from the way we speak every day. And of course, if we're having great success with the students using their own language, their first language, then they've got to translate it back. So
Through you, Madam Chair. It was developed in conjunction with Marion Small and the Renfrew County School Board, and we had a collaboration with the community. And yes, it's very similar in terms of the terminology and the language that's used in EQAO to help set the students up for success. Absolutely.
Any other questions? Trustee Colburn.
Thank you. I'm looking at the KPIs. You identified the ones where we where we improved, so we're greater than 5%. There's a number that are stable. KPI 3 that indicates attendance is sort of a KPI with regards to this. We had more schools that actually saw a decrease than an increase in this. I wonder if you can speak to that correlation. I found when I attended math class, I usually did better than when I didn't. So I'm just sort of curious as to what that correlation might be.
Through you, Madam Chair, part of the reason has to probably do with outside of just the MAP initiative, ongoing trends we're seeing with attendance at the board student population level. So as I'm sure you're aware of, the attendance rates in general when we compare pre-pandemic to post-pandemic are different. There is a general lowering of the average. So the priority school cohorts were specifically identified for this initiative, and were asked to work on their attendance rates as well as the academics. The report card marks in general in comparison don't show as much of a gap, and that's also seen at the board student population level pre-pandemic to post-pandemic.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much for your presentation. It's very encouraging to see best practices like teacher moderation and coaching with our learning partners and regional collaboration all happening to improve our math success. So thank you for all your efforts in that regard. Thank you. All right, can I have someone who will move our memo from the Superintendent of Student Success, intermediate secondary, dated November 25th, 2025, entitled 2025-26 Math Achievement Action Plan be received, moved by Trustee Phelan, seconded by Trustee Lukatich-Byers. All in favor? Opposed and carried. Next, we have a memo for our Associate Director of Business Affairs, re-audited consolidated financial statements for the year ended August 31st, 2025. Welcome, Associate Director Shimmons and Sylvia Buckman?
Buckman.
Thank you. Gee, pronounced it properly. And it's over to you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm pleased to present the audited financial statements for the year ended August 31st, 2025. The consolidated financial statements comprise the school board operations itself, the Catholic Education Foundation of Ottawa, or what we know as CFO, school-generated funds, school council funds, and our proportionate share of the Ottawa Student Transportation Authority, or OSTA. Liam, if you can advance the slide, please. Beginning with the overall results of the audit, we're happy to report that Deloitte has issued a favorable independent auditor's report with no qualifications. The board is also compliant with ministry regulations, which includes a balanced budget and administration and governance spending within the allocated funding allocation. We will review some of the important changes and highlights to the statements in the following slides. We've also included a guide to the financial statements that reviews what each statement is, along with the notes and the basis to which the statements were prepared for leisurely reading. The next slide, please, Liam. Okay. Some overall highlights of the financial statements include the overall JK-12 enrollment for pupils of the board increased by 1,775 average daily enrollment, so just under 1,800, which is a 4.1% increase over the prior year. We've been generally increasing at around 2,000 per year, so this is down slightly. The operating surplus at August 31st was $9.5 million for August 31st, 2025, compared to the prior year, which was $11.2 million in that fiscal year. The majority of the operating surplus is attributable to unfilled and vacant jobs with both supply and term positions, especially with the educational assistants and caretaker groups, though most all groups had some vacancy savings at some point during the year. There were also salary savings due to shortage of supply teachers requiring the use of classroom supervisors. This was offset by the continuous growth of supply costs for absenteeism. Finally, there were also some unspent operating budgets, some of which were related to previously enveloped or deferred funds that were mandated by the ministry into revenues. As such, were unplanned. This is such as SIA, Pathways, and the experiential learning. Other unspent funds related to transportation expenditure savings compared to budget, reducing the final transportation deficit for 24-25 from $2 million down to $853,000 shortfall. Now at this time, if we want to move to slide 4, please, Liam. This time I'll turn it over to Sylvia Buckman, our accounting supervisor, who leads us through this year-end financial process.
Thank you, Lisa. Through you, Madam Chair. Referring to page 4 of the financial statements, I'll review some more significant year-over-year changes in the statement of financial position. Both financial assets and liabilities are down from prior year due to the advance payment of both Bill 124 and collective agreement funding increase for specific employee groups, as well as the significant accrual of liabilities related to those groups who are not yet fully paid their retro payments as of August 31st in the prior year. With respect to non-financial assets, prepaids increase overall, mainly due to $1.2 million in prepaid SIA expenditures for 25-26, as well as an additional net $39.7 million in capital assets, which we'll review later during this presentation. Next slide, please. I'll now turn to the statement of operations, which is found on page 5. Both revenue and expenses are down overall, mainly due to, again, the significant retro salaries and related revenues, resulting from both Bill 124 and collective agreement increases in the prior year. EDC revenues are up $3.9 million due to the new EDC bylaw that was passed March 2025, which included increased fees. Transportation costs increased by $1.4 million or 4%. School-generated funds expenses are up $1.6 million, and overall supplies and services and contractual service are up $5.7 million due to in-year surplus funds that were invested in special projects such as collaborative learning spaces, student Chromebooks, STEM kits, and consulting services related to new staff attendance program. Next slide, please. Overall, as mentioned earlier, the 24-25 school year ended up with an operating surplus of $9.5 million, bringing total unappropriated reserves up to $29.6 million, and overall accumulated surplus available for compliance purpose to $71 million. The $71 million available does have a little more than $20 million restriction for long-term funding for depreciation, amortization funding set aside to offset the depreciation amortization expense each year. Plans for future uses of these additional reserves will be brought forward at a future date and will be in addition to existing reserve-funded projects such as the investment in skilled trades and inclusion and well-being through the lens of deep learning multi-year initiatives. I'll now pass back to Lisa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Liam, if we can advance to slide 7, please. Thank you. So next, I will review the capital projects expenditures included in the financial statements. There were no new major construction projects during the school year. St. Gianna and St. Veronica were finalized, though, and some of the architectural and engineering costs were incurred on future projects that have been approved by the ministry and are opening between September 2027 and September 2028. And these include the addition of St. Philip, which is currently underway, and 2 elementary schools and a high school. The Planning and Facility Department was also able to accomplish $28 million in school renewal projects this year, as approved by the board last fall and winter. $23 million was spent on site costs for new schools and future sites, such as Barhaven South High School and Fernbank North Elementary School. Land costs are funded through Education Development Charges, or EDCs, and as of August 31st, there is a $30.1 million EDC deficit to be recouped over the next few years through the monthly EDC receipts that we receive from the city. Finally, the board spent a total of $6.2 million on 38 new portable purchases, of which $5 million was funded and covered through operating reserves, the board's operating reserves. We also covered the cost of 22 portable relocations during the year through the school renewal grants. And then finally, the last slide, please, Liam. And that concludes our presentation on the consolidated financial statements for the year ended August 31st, 2025. There's a motion before you to approve the financial statements for the August 31st, 2025 year, and we would be happy to take any questions at this time.
Any questions? Trustee Coburn.
No questions, just a comment. So the audit committee met a week ago, I think, tonight, to review these statements in detail. And I just want to, so another year with a surplus, not insignificant. It seems to me that there are boards of education that are struggling to run surpluses still, and our board continues to be able to do that. So it's a tremendous amount of thanks to Lisa, Sylvia, and Shelley, who I understand is vacationing in Mexico, so she can take credit as well. Plus, there's a finance team behind that. Plus, there's an organization at the Ottawa Catholic School Board. But just a thanks to managing the assets. As we know, the province is looking carefully at school boards now in terms of their managing their finances, and we continue to set the bar extremely high. So with that, I would move that motion unless there are other questions.
Any other questions? Well said, Trustee Coburn. They were right on statements. Can I have a seconder for the motion? Trustee Moore? That the Ottawa Catholic School Board consolidated financial statements for the year August 31st, 2025 as audited and reported upon by Deloitte LLP be approved. All in favor? Opposed and carried. Thank you very much. Next, we have a memo from the Superintendent of Planning and Facilities, re 2025-2026 school renewal budgets and recommended work. Superintendent Vala and Ian Baxter, welcome.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Let's turn this thing on. Yeah. So it's my pleasure to be here tonight, joined by Ian Baxter, our Manager of Planning Construction, to present the recommended capital renewal expenditures for the 2025 and 2026 school year. This annual report is a critical component of our commitment to maintaining a safe, healthy, and high-quality learning environment for all of our students and staff, in alignment with our strategic plan to foster environments where everyone can be well, be community, and be innovative. The core purpose of this memorandum is to secure your approval for the proposed projects and the associated funding sources that are detailed in the recommendation section in the attached appendices. For the 2025-26 school year, we've been allocated nearly $8.7 million for school renewal allocation, or SRA, and $17.9 million for school condition improvement, or SCI. It is important to note the distinction between the two streams. The SCI grant is strictly for capital projects valued more than $10,000 per school, focusing on renewal of facilities. The SRA grant offers more flexibility, allowing a portion of it to be used for non-capital repair and maintenance items. Our recommendations, fully listed in Appendix 1 and 2, encompass a broad range of system needs, which includes things like major capital works, including regulatory, health and safety projects, as well as the renewal and replacement of roofs, doors, windows, and core heating and ventilation and air conditioning equipment. We also do system upgrades such as fire alarm panels, code compliance work, and the ongoing replacement of high traffic items like toilet partitions and lockers. And finally, we have annual programs that we do, which include our annual painting program, floor replacements, sports field rejuvenation, and various site improvements. We strive for work that serves multiple goals. For example, improved lighting that coincidentally reduces energy costs and brightens our schools, or new air handling units that enhance both air quality and energy efficiency. Our 2025-26 plan also includes several unique and strategically important projects. Some examples include the Guardian Angels Elementary School, where we're seeking approval for renewal work, including HVAC and LED lighting upgrades, new paving, and all to be complete concurrently with the construction of a new addition. We have Immaculata High School Annex, where we will continue to the preparation of former St. Nicholas Adol Graham site to serve as an annex for Immaculata High School, adding specialized programming and addressing ongoing enrollment growth. We also are including our Century Public School, which is the OCSB site that we're looking to acquire. We're placing placeholder funds within the plan for upgrades to the property when we purchase it. We're planning improvements that are substantial and include a new roof, replacement of the reinforced autoclaved aerated concrete panels, HVAC, boilers, and interior renovations. We also have Assumption Elementary School interior work, which is planning to increase instructional space and avoid the potential future need for portable classrooms at that site. We have the ongoing ventilation projects that we are continuing to upgrade with a new rooftop unit for the cooling at Corpus Christi, which is a life cycle. We're also including a life cycle replacement of unit ventilators at St. Mary Elementary School and a feasibility study for additional upgrades at a number of elementary sites. And finally, a major of critical investment includes a proactive foundation stabilization work planned at St. Peter's High School in Orleans. This is budgeted as an extraordinary $6 million for the stabilization work alone, plus an additional $2.5 million for interior floor and wall restoration result from the excavations. As a clarification to the report timelines that was previously included, pre-construction work is set to begin this December, with the major remedial work commencing in March of 2026. Due to the scale and cost of the unforeseen requirements, staff have been actively communicating with the Ministry of Education, to seek additional financial support for this project. We are also seeking approval for the continued investment in our facilities funded by the accumulated surplus internally appropriated, or Asia Fund. For the Catholic Education Center here, we are planning to continue with the required work, including the third phase of the exterior refacing of Building A, the replacement of interior door hardware, and the creation of an accessible washroom on the ground floor. The estimated cost of this work is $1.1 million, with $1 million from the annual budget allocation that we had before, and the remaining $1 million funded through Asia Reserve Fund drawdown. At our closed school sites, we will also continue the investments into our lease portfolio, especially completing a boiler replacement and ventilation upgrade at St. Thomas Aquinas, or the Heritage Academy, and replacing the fire alarm panel at St. Ambrose, which is the Louis Arbor Elementary School. The estimated cost of this work is $325,000 and will be funded through additional Asia Reserve Fund drawdown, with costs offset with renewal revenues from the leased properties. On the next note, we're bringing forward is the temporary accommodation funding for portables. The ministry has provided the temporary accommodation allocation, or TAA grant, of $1.6 million this year for the purchase, relocation, and repair of portable classroom units. We are currently awaiting confirmation from the province regarding a potential increase in our TAA grant, as a calculation error was identified in the data used by the ministry. Based on preliminary projected enrollments, we anticipate a need for 46 additional portable classrooms for the 26-27 school year. 21 of these will be met through projected surplus units in our current inventory. Therefore, we require the purchase of 25 new portable classrooms to meet the remaining need for the coming academic year. The total estimated cost to purchase, deliver, set up, and energize these new portables is $6.25 million. A portion will be covered by the TAA grant, and the remaining balance, currently estimated at $4.65 million, will be funded from the accumulated surplus. This request is lower than the $8.4 million approved in the June budget due to the availability of those 21 surplus units within our current inventory. The cost to relocate those 21 existing portables is estimated at $2.1 million, which will be funded from SRA. Moving forward with this acquisition now is critical to avoid any delays in delivery for September of 2026. This investment will not only serve immediate needs, but also assist with replacing older units in our inventory deemed to be end of service life, even as we plan for new permanent classroom space opening between the years of 2027 to 2029. The next section in our report is around the SRA and SCI previous projects that were previously approved. So we're bringing a brief update on our reserve spending. As you may recall, we are working towards a ministry deadline to expend unspent SRA and SCI reserves by August 31st of 2026. Following a review of the completed projects, we have concluded there's an estimated $225,000 in SRA and $2.4 million in SCI funds, which are available to be carried forward and are included in our 25-26 plan. The full list of projects from the multi-year plan that have yet to be completed is also attached in our plan to move forward for this coming summer. Finally, on August 25th of this year, the province announced the release of a dedicated accessibility funding after years of lobbying by school boards to address the AODA needs. The OCSB received an allocation of $5.3 million for the 2025-2026 school year, with the restriction that these funds be used for schools built prior to 2015. Appendix 3 provides a framework based on accessibility condition audits completed this past summer. Planned major enhancements include installation of a new elevator and existing ramp at St. Paul's, which is worth around $1 million. A new elevator at the Immaculata High School the Graham Annex for $800,000. Universal and barrier-free washrooms at St. Pius worth $450,000. We anticipate this plan may undergo minor changes as we finalize the scope of work, but indications suggest that this dedicated accessibility funding will become a permanent part of the ministry annual facility renewal grant structure in future years. In conclusion, the 2025-26 school renewal budgets and recommended work plan is a dynamic and comprehensive approach to facility renewal, ensuring we are good stewards of our buildings and responsible managers of the grants we received. Therefore, staff respectfully bring forward the recommendations for your approval tonight. This completes our presentation, and we'd be happy to answer questions the trustees may have.
Thank you. Questions? Hands all went up at the same time. Trustee Moore, Trustee Phelan, and go ahead.
Through you, Madam Chair. So I really am curious, because I'm pretty sure a spreadsheet doesn't tell the whole story. I can see in Appendix 1, under your special projects, I can understand why St. Bernadette needs a little bit more paving for the parking, but I'm not quite sure how St. Juan, a 2-year-old school, needs a washroom renovation.
Through you, Madam Chair. In this case, we make provisions in our original designs of our new schools for expansion. In this case here, we have the addition of portables, which require additional washroom space. So we'd be fitting up additional washrooms for our students to serve that community. So our schools are built for that eventual addition. Obviously, it's a little bit sooner than we expected. So yeah, it's only 2 years old, but it will serve the kids well for next year.
I'm glad to hear it's all successful flushing happening. And may I have a follow-up? The AODA, the money in Appendix 3, thank you very much, and that's all being done through the accessibility audit. And will the accessibility audit be shared with, let's say, SEAC? So often the questions we have are, some of our parents are disabled, and is that looked at, and or is this good enough?
Through you, Madam Chair, we hadn't considered about sharing we had used an architect to go through all of our schools, so it's a multi-point matrix that identifies the shortcomings to comply with the AODA. It hasn't been prepared for public sharing. I'd have to take a look at what we'd be able to do with that, so we'll take a look at that and see what's best for everyone and still maintain I guess those confidentiality pieces that the consultants have.
Trustee Fallon.
Through you, Madam Chair. Gentlemen, always a great job. Thanks for everything you do, and the documentation you put forward is always crystal clear, which is really great. So thanks for sharing. Just got one question. I probably should know this, but what does the Asia Fund stand for? What is that acronym of Asia? Sorry.
Yeah, do you have it?
Through you, Madam Chair, I think I have it. Accumulated surplus internally appropriated, I believe.
Yes. We were trying to figure that out, so thank you for answering that. I appreciate it. Yeah, only question tonight.
Trustee Kira.
Through you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your report. From a student perspective, it means so much, especially as a student at St. Pius, where I've seen the universal and barrier-free washrooms be actualized. We really appreciate that, and we really appreciate having those renewed facilities. I just wanted to ask, there is a student need currently for improved elevators for students who might need that resource. I was wondering if that was covered under the fund, or if there's other accommodations that might make up for that.
Through you, Madam Chair, that is one of our projects that is on our list of, if you look through the appendices, so it is a renewal of the, I believe it has an elevator, so it would be upgraded to a proper one.
Again, great question. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. I have a three-part motion. Can I have a mover first? Trustee Coburn and Trustee Mullen will be seconding that. That the memorandum from the Superintendent of Planning and Facilities dated November 19th, 2025, entitled 2025-2026 School Renewal Budgets and Recommended Work be received, and that the recommended school renewal allocation, school condition improvement and accessibility projects and funding sources contained therein be approved. That the board authorizes the expenditure of $1,100,000 for improvements to the CEC and $325,000 for construction projects at closed school facilities to be funded by the accumulated surplus internally appropriated Asia Fund. It was in our motion. All in favor? Opposed and carried. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Sorry,
I did too. And now we have a memo from the Superintendent of Planning and Facilities, read New Mare Bleu Catholic Elementary School revised planned opening date. Superintendent Vala and Mr. Baxter.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. So I'm joined with our Manager of Planning Instruction, who will be going through an update on our current Mare Bleu Elementary School in Orleans.
Thank you, Superintendent Vala. Through you, Madam Chair, the memo before you tonight contains an update regarding the opening of our planned new Mare Bleu Catholic Elementary School. As you recall, in June 2024, we received capital funding from the Ministry of Education for the construction of a new 507 pupil place elementary school to serve students residing in growth areas of Orleans located south of Innes Road. Areas that include the Mare Bleu community, and the Gloucester portion of what I call the East Urban Centre. Based on information we had at the time, this new school was anticipated to be open for September 2026 to assist with accommodation pressures being experienced at two local schools, Our Lady of Wisdom in the Queenswood Heights neighborhood and St. Kateri Tekakwitha on Beausejour Drive. Unfortunately, this planned opening date is not possible, and we are now working toward a September 2027 opening date. The purpose of this memo this evening is to ensure that parents of students attending schools potentially impacted by the opening of the new school are aware of the change in timing, in particular prior to kindergarten registration commencing in January for the 2026-2027 school year. In addition to Our Lady of Wisdom and St. Kateri, some students at Chapel Hill could also be impacted by the new school opening. This is a result of the creation of an option area this past September within the St. Kateri boundary. These three school communities will be notified of the planned change to the opening date of the new Mare Bleu Catholic Elementary School after tonight's meeting. So why has the opening date changed? Permanent servicing of the subdivision that contains the site that will accommodate the new school is dependent upon a new stormwater outlet into McKinnon's Creek. The design of this outlet was approved by City Council at its meeting on October 8th and is currently in a regulatory appeal period. Should no appeals be received to the council-approved design, procurement of a contractor and construction of the outlet will take place. It is our understanding, however, that this process could take between 18 and 24 months to complete and fully commission. If an appeal is received to the design, this timeline would be extended even further. I should note that the city and the South Nation Conservation Authority have been working on a design for a new outlet for many years. When we submitted this project to the province for funding in the fall of 2023, it was our understanding that progress on an acceptable design was moving and would be brought to council shortly thereafter. So notwithstanding the issues and the timing with permanent services for the larger subdivision, staff have been working hard over the past year with Mattamy Homes, the owners of the land that the school site sits on, city staff, and local engineering firms to firm up a temporary servicing plan that would get us to 2027. This plan would see our site as a separate block of land on an R plan, along with road network to provide the school with access and with sufficient frontage. Sanitary and stormwater from our site would be pumped northward to connect to existing available capacity. And this temporary plan has been approved in principle by the city, and it will be included within a future site plan application submission for the new school. I should mention that preparing a plan to temporarily service a school building in isolation is a complicated endeavor. It is a process that is interconnected with many other variables, including the design of adjacent subdivisions. It is not dependent upon the resolution of one single issue. At no point in time during our many discussions did the city indicate that there was approval from the Conservation Authority to discharge stormwater directly into McKinnon's Creek. Furthermore, even if that option were to have been available to us, it would not result in an ability to start construction this year and open the school in 2026. We continue to work hard on behalf of our students and staff to have this important project open as soon as possible. The delayed opening will not result in a need for temporary changes or disruption to families. We expect to be able to accommodate students at their currently designated schools for the 26-27 school year in advance of the opening in September of 2027. We will update trustees and impacted school communities as progress continues. And with that, I think I'll leave things there, and staff are here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Trustee Coburn.
Thanks for the update. It's clearly it's disappointing to have this pushed out, but to your comments, it's a complex issue that certainly is beyond my capacity to fully understand, and I know that staff have been working diligently to try to make this happen. Nobody wants to see a delayed opening of a school that we received funding from the ministry. So that's my comment. I've got a couple of questions, if I might. So the first question is with regards to, I received some correspondence from MPP Stephen Blais, who represents the area. His first comment was, or his first question was that this caught him off guard or by surprise. My understanding is we've updated him repeatedly with regards to this issue. I certainly wasn't caught by surprise. I was aware of the complexities of this, so maybe Superintendent Valla, you could comment on that.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. Certainly we've kept our local MP informed, and well over a year we've been indicating that we were having troubles, and that he was well aware that this was the 2027 school year was probably the earliest that the school would open. So it's not a surprise to him at this point anyway.
That's what I understood. The second one was, and I think Mr. Baxter, you alluded to it, the solution with the South Nation Conservation Authority. In another email, a follow-up email, he identifies that possible solution which would have allowed us to open this school in 2026. I mean, you've already commented on that, but maybe you could just reinforce that.
Through you, Madam Chair, I think the quick answer to that is there was no sort of solution, including stormwater having a temporary outlet to McKinnon's Creek, that really would have allowed us to start construction this year and unfortunately have the school open for September 2026. The earliest, with the servicing plan that we put together, that's been approved by the city and is ready to sort of move forward. I think the earliest that under that plan that we could have the school opened for would be September 2027.
Good, thank you for that. I'll move that once you've been through questions from other folks.
Trustee Moore.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Is this situation going to end us up, could it end up like St. Isabel, where everything was approved, we put a school in, and then they never put in the subdivision? No, I'm not going to say never. It's only been 8-10 years. But could that possibly happen here?
Through you, Madam Chair, on the bright side, I will tell you that St. Isabel is getting very, very close to full capacity right now, and it was on the potential portable list that I put together about a couple of weeks ago.
I know I'm bussing them in, but they're not coming from that neighborhood. They're coming from the easy farmland down the road. I was really being more comparative. Could the Mer Bleu end up, because of these stormwater issues, much like this, where we build a school and nothing goes around it?
Through you, Madam Chair, and in response to the trustee question, I think actually if we're talking about the potential for low enrollment for a period of time, the opposite is going to occur. The school site that we're talking about is located in what's called the Mer Bleu expansion lands, but there is a full, I would suggest probably about a 10 to 15-year-old community, the Mer Bleu community that has existed for quite some time. You also have the East Urban Center to the west. And the last time we looked at enrollment, the issue would have been the converse, that we may need to make when we set the attendance boundary for this school. We may need to make some difficult decisions.
If I may also add through you, Madam Chair, the developers, as we've been dealing with this development, they're chomping at the bit. They had this whole delay for the stormwater plan has really held them up. So we have two large development communities that are anxious to move forward. So unlike perhaps Canada North, was you're expecting some growth, here's a lot of pent-up demand in that community, and the developers are anxious to start building.
Any other questions? Living in Orleans, I can attest to what they're saying is just growing. We're going to have a very busy fall, 2027. You guys are going to be running. You're going to need a holiday that fall. Could we, moved by Trustee Coburn, seconded by Trustee McEwen, that the memorandum from the Superintendent of Planning and Facilities entitled New Mareblois Catholic Elementary School Revised Planned Opening Date dated November 19th, 2025 be received. All in favor, opposed, and carried. Next, we have a memo from the Superintendent of Learning Technologies re International Excursions 2025-2026. Welcome, Superintendent Edwards.
Madam Chair, I am pleased to present the last presentation of the evening, the list of approved out-of-country excursions for the 2025-2026 school year. These trips are an invaluable extension of the classroom, offering our students rich experiential learning opportunities that align with the diverse range of our curriculum foci. In total, we have 14 international excursions planned, spanning a wide array of destinations and subjects. Our students will be traveling across 4 continents to engage in focused studies. In the Americas, we have trips focusing on science in Peru and history in Puerto Rico. Our students from Lester B. Pearson and St. Matthew will also explore physical education and healthy active living in Costa Rica. In Europe and beyond, trips range from exploring sustainable energy in Iceland to immersive cultural and historical tours across the continent. For example, students will delve into language and history across Italy, Monaco, France, and Spain, and study health sciences in Scandinavia, specifically Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. Other groups will focus on visual arts, history, and religion in Italy and Greece. The majority of these excursions are scheduled for the winter and spring of 2026, with most occurring during the March and April break periods. These proposed excursions have all been thoroughly vetted prior to final approval. The dedication of our staff in creating these enriching opportunities for our students is commendable, and I'm happy to take any questions regarding this list.
Any questions? Trustee Moore.
Thank you. St. Mother Teresa's visit to Puerto Rico, are they, has it been vetted for any immigration issues?
Whenever we have
crossing a border to the States, basically.
Oh, I see what you mean. Through you, Madam Chair, whenever we look at a trip, one of the things we vet is any kind of international issues with Canada Foreign Affairs. So if there was any issue, then we always have full insurance where we can pull the plug on it, but we haven't seen issues with Puerto Rico.
Through you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say many of my friends have taken this trip and they've all said great things about it, so it's an amazing opportunity that we're given this chance to go to another country to learn about history or science or all these other subjects, so thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, I appreciate the comment. I know my daughter's doing her 3rd year in Munich, and I don't think she's ever going to come home because of her love for global travel now, so we hope to instill that in our students.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much, and I want to echo what Jaden said, with education through travel, there's nothing better. Thank you. All right, could we have someone move that the memorandum from the Superintendent of Learning Technologies dated November 18th, 2025 and entitled International Excursions 2025-26 be received? Moved by Trustee Melito, seconded by Trustee Lukatich-Byers. All in favor? Opposed and carried. We have no new business. We have no notice of motions. Can I have someone move the confirmation of the action report? Moved by Trustee Coburn, seconded by Trustee Moore, that the action report of October 28th, 2025 be received. All in favor, opposed and carried. Administrative announcements.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have two quick announcements this evening. First of all, on Monday, December 1st, our CSPA, our amazing parent organization, will have an event at St. Paul High School at 7 p.m. called Raising Digitally Resilient Children, an Interactive AI Night. And I believe the location had to change because it was so popular, so that's really good to know. And I don't think there are any trustee birthdays, but we've had or will have a number of superintendent birthdays. So just after our AGM, when I wasn't allowed to announce birthdays, Prince Uhuru had his birthday on November 15th, and later this week, Sean Kelly has his birthday, and then on the weekend, Lisa Shimmons. So happy birthday in advance to post. That's all, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and happy birthday. So, Trustee Mullen, who's watching and thinking, my goodness, time is it? Can we have someone to move the adjournment of the meeting? Moved by Trustee Coburn, seconded by Trustee Mullen, that the regular meeting of the Board of November 25th, 2025 be adjourned at 9:22 p.m. All in favor? Opposed and carried, and thank you, everyone. Right, 9:20.